You ready to do this, Steve?
Let's do it, Spence. Punch it, Chewie.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I am Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot, as always, is Steve Madura.
Nanu, nanu.
We're two best friends that, despite being fathers and husbands, we just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode number 39. We release every Thursday morning on iTunes, Google Music, and Stitcher, and we're back at it again, once again this week.
So would this be like my 39th, or my golden birthday, being it's like our 39th episode? Is there some kind of prize I get, like a door prize or something?
Yes, it's in the bottom of a Captain Crunch box, and you'll have to dig down to find it.
Woohoo! I love Captain Crunch.
Just to let you know, it's a little whistle. Sorry.
Scrapes the top of your mouth.
Not that big surprising. This week, we're having a great time. We're all ready to rock and roll. And then I called an audible at the last second, and I said, you know what? We need to switch things up, and we need a special guest. So, of course, we reached out to Mr. Nodal Pats himself, Josh Stapleton. Josh, how are you?
I do not claim Mr. Nodal Pats at all. I don't know who you're talking about. He's an imposter. I have people investigating this, but he's not me.
My identity was stolen.
Now, most of you on this if you listen to this podcast, you probably know Josh Stapleton as my younger brother, or your lover, one of the two. I don't know, but Josh Stapleton, along with his son, aka Cool Knight, they've run their own YouTube video called Raising a Gamer, and you can catch that bi-weekly. Bi-weekly? Every other week? Is that how you say it? Bi-weekly?
Yeah, I guess bi
sure.
Works. Sure.
Bi, yeah. Bi-weekly on YouTube, Raising the Gamer. Josh, what are you guys doing over there? Like, what's the thing? Tell us about it.
Okay, so Raising a Gamer was kind of born out of a question that I heard a whole bunch on another podcast I listened to called Married to the Games. And on Married to the Games, you'd constantly have people who would write in and they would ask these guys, so a lot of the listeners are married people, hence Married to the Games, and the tagline of the show is Kids, Wives, and 9 to 5s.
Wait, are you pimping Married to the Games, or are you pimping Raising a Gamer?
Dude,
Just
I'm
curious.
I'm pimping both. I'm the street team, man. I am one half of the Married to the Games street team, so I do have to pimp them a little bit.
That is true, and I am the other half. Together, we are the street team.
But anyways, I'm just trying to give some background here. So
yeah.
People would, a lot of times it'd be guys that would write in and say, hey, when's a good age to start introducing your kids to games, and what games should I introduce them to? Should I start at the beginning? Should I start at, more current stuff? And so I had this idea that, I have my son who's almost 10, my oldest son, one of my 4 kids, and he's been playing. I know. What have I done? He's been playing a lot of Minecraft, a lot of Terraria. And I thought, you know what? There's all these games I should introduce him to. He likes those type of things. He likes Mario games. So I said, you know what? Let's just do something together. Even if we don't get any views or any interest from anyone, at least this will be a bonding opportunity. So that's where Raising a Gamer was born. We'll play games anywhere from original Nintendo up to more current stuff. I mean, obviously, we're not playing like Grand Theft Auto or anything of that nature.
Yet.
What? You don't want him beating prostitutes and robbing people?
Well, I mean, I guess you got to learn how the world works. But for right now, we'll stick to just, smashing Koopas.
So let me ask you this, Josh. I obviously follow Raising a Gamer on YouTube, and I've watched your videos, and I know you guys did one on Splatoon 2 recently, and you've done some past ones, Mario 64. You had your intro video. You also did one on Burnout. Can you give us a little tease as to what we can expect coming up?
Well, sure can, because this coming Friday, I'll just let you know we're doing Rocket League.
Ooh,
nice.
Very nice.
So yeah, and like I said, we really do go all over the board. 1 week we might be doing an old school game. The next week we might be doing something a little bit newer. So we have Rocket League coming up. We have about 8 or 9 other games already in the can, ready to go, and we're still playing new stuff all the time. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a blast.
And has there been anything, Josh, that you've introduced him to through this experience where he's been like, wow, this is an awesome game, Dad. I thought all your old games were crap, but they really are fun.
Yeah, most of them he's enjoyed. There's only been a couple that he really hasn't got into a ton.
Leisure Suit Larry?
No, we
close to home, Spence.
We have one of the videos we have forthcoming, which I won't go into too much detail. But one of the ones we have forthcoming, we didn't really get into the game itself, but it was one of those that we saw potential for the rest of the series. So there's those type of experiences. And a lot of times what I'll see with him is when we start first playing a game, he'll kind of just be kind of hemming and hawing like, I don't know. And one of the things we do on Raising a Gamer is we give a school grade to every game. And the main focus of the grade is the fun factor. So just because you give one game an A and another game an A doesn't mean that they're necessarily equal. You know, you might have the greatest game of all time that you might give an A, and then you might have a game that you just have a real fun time with, but maybe isn't the greatest that is still an A. But so one of the things he says now, every time we start a game is, we'll have played a game for just a few minutes. He's like, I'll give this a C+. And then maybe a couple days later, he'll be like, I think this is a A-. So I see that happen a lot with him where he starts off and he's kind of like, I'm not sure. But once he gets the feel for it, he tends to, for the most part, really get into it. And we've had a lot of ones that are just a blast to play.
That is awesome.
That's really cool. Let me ask you one last question, because I think you and I may have talked about this, but on the podcast, or not on the podcast, on the YouTube video, Racing the Gamer, your son, which I almost just said his name.
You can say Andrew, that's fine. It's
okay, yeah, Andrew. But
we call him Cool Knight on the videos.
Yeah, he goes by Cool Knight. So, was that a decision like you made as far as like, hey, I want to protect my son because he is 10 years old and doing YouTube, or is that something like he kind of came up with and was like, I just want to stick with this? Like, is that something
I want to handle?
That? You or him?
He came up with the name Cool Knight, and actually he has his own YouTube channel just called Cool Knight. That's where that was born out of. He started doing Minecraft Let's Plays, but on the Minecraft videos, you never see his face. He just narrates them. And so he already picked out the name Cool Knight. Funny story, he first started off as Cool Guy on Minecraft, but he misspelled guy. He instead of putting a U there, he put an A there. So, not that there's anything wrong with
tons of views.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it wasn't what I was looking for my 9-year-old son. So I had to kind of politely say like, "Hey, did you double check your spelling there?" And then he realized he had it wrong, and he ended up going with Cool Knight, and that's kind of where that was born. That's the name he uses for his Minecraft narration, and we figured, you know what? For our YouTube series, we'll just keep calling him Cool Knight. It is kind of in a way to protect him where we're not just saying his name. And I always go by Cool Knight's dad. Because, I didn't want some, 36 years old. I didn't need some, cheesy nickname. And I want him to be more of the focus. We're trying to get him to speak more and more in every video.
So you didn't want to go with Cool like King. He could be Cool Knight, and eventually gets old enough he'll become the Cool Prince. No?
No. I'm fine. I'm fine with being just Cool Knight's dad. So yeah, every video it's Cool Knight and his dad. So
cool. So where can people? I mean, I know we'll do this again at the end, but where can people follow you? Obviously on YouTube.
Yeah. So on the YouTube, the channel is called Raising a Gamer. On Twitter, the handle for it is just Raising Gamer. So there's not the A there. But more likely than not, if you want to follow on Twitter, it's cred_81. That's my personal handle, and I'll retweet most of the Raising a Gamer stuff, anyways.
Okay, cool,
very cool.
What else is going on, Josh? Anything else new that we should know about since we talked with you last?
Well, there aren't any more kids on the way, so that's a positive.
Yay! Woohoo!
It has been a few months since we've talked to you, so I'm glad to hear
It
that.
has. Yeah, we're definitely done on that front. Our kids start school tomorrow, so there's been a little bit of the jitters there with them. Andrew, though, my oldest, he's going into 4th grade. He's got the same teachers last year in the same class, so he's pretty excited about that. My daughter's...
Is that because he's doing 4th grade again?
No, the teacher just moved up, and they gave the students the option.
Gotcha.
She's a really good teacher, so I think most of the whole class decided to stay with her.
That's cool.
So yeah, and that'll be a good thing for him because he deals with a little bit of anxiety. So that'll be good. Natalie starts 3rd grade. She's excited.
Wow.
And then my 2 littlest, Sam and Jake. Sam's 3 and Jake is 7 months, and neither one of them like to sleep at night. So last night
Hence, neither do you.
Yeah, last night I think I was up 4 times and ended up spending part of the night in my bed, part of the night on the couch, and then part of the night in Natalie's room as she was crying. She was having a nightmare and there was no room in the bed for her. So I had to, after she was sobbing, had to go back and hang out with her. So the fact that I'm awake right now may change as the podcast goes on.
Okay. Well, good to know. Glad you're with us and awake. Yeah. Steve, my man, what is going on?
Oh my gosh, there has been so much this week, chocked full. I mean, everything from medieval times to total eclipse of the heart and the sun. So on Saturday, my mother took me and my family and my sister and brother-in-law are in town. Emily and her husband Jeff are in town. He just finished at MIT and is now in the kind of the job search mode. And so we had a little birthday celebration. So we were talking about different places to go. Should we go to a restaurant? Should we go to Dave & Buster's and do some video games? And I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to spend a night with my family like running around 40,000 square feet of blinking lights
awesomeness.
trying to find my children. So I was like, you know what? Why don't we do something different? She's like, what about medieval times? I'm like, I've never been there before. And I have always wanted to go. I know it sounds so cheesy. I've always wanted to go because I saw ever since Cable Guy.
Huzzah!
I know.
Huzzah!
Like Matthew Broderick when he gets down in the field, he's like, how did you get us in? He's like, I gave the Red Knight free cable. So anyway, so we went and it was a blast. We had a great time and my mother got like the boys' jester hats and Alana, because it was her birthday, like a little tiara crown, and they totally got into it, and we were chanting and hooting and hollering and eating chicken with our bare hands, man flesh. And I was like, so no silverware? He's like, no, sir. There was no silverware back in the medieval times. I'm like, but there was Pepsi? He's like, look, I got a lot of tables to run here. I'm like, he spit in my drink. I know it. No, actually, we had a great service. It was a great time. And the kids walked away.
Steve.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but just a quick question. With the eclipse, what percentage of an eclipse were you guys getting there in Chicago?
Per the guy at Barnes & Noble that I was inside during the eclipse, he said we were getting about 87% coverage.
Okay, that's pretty.
And they were having a debate between he and this old customer. He was like, I think it's 86 is what I read. And he's like, no, I think it's 87. I'm like, look, I got things to do. Can we move this along here? Right. So the eclipse happened. I was actually out to lunch when it happened, and I didn't get glasses, so I just kind of looked it up, for a second or two, and then I took some pictures of it with my phone, and I'm like, that's good enough. So I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't get really into the eclipse. A lot of people did, though. I mean, I was going to lunch, and everybody is out. Like my colleague and I, and everybody and their dogs are out with the glasses and all the rest. So I'm like, I'm not going to trust my sight like a pair of dollar glasses from Walmart. I'm like, I don't know. I just
really got into it. I'm sorry, Spence, to cut you off. I was at work.
This is my podcast. What are you doing? No, teasing.
I was at work and I probably went outside 10 different times to glance at it real quick. And I told Steph, my wife, last night, I said, okay, we looked up when the next one is going to happen, and it's going to be, I think, 2024, and one of the best places is Dallas. So I'm like, hey, 2024, we're going down to Dallas.
There you go.
I'm going to go down too.
Yeah. I want to see the full eclipse.
So here's the thing. Like in our area, we got like 90, anywhere from like 91 to like 93%, depending on who you asked or what reporting agency. But the thing is like this, like we went and did it. We looked out at it, and you can get like the dollar glasses because it's that film that like you can't see anything through unless you're looking at the sun, and then you barely see it. And so they work. I mean, I remember Dad used to use something similar to that to put over his telescope to take pictures of the sun years ago.
Yep.
But the thing is, like here, it was cool because since had more, like the temperature noticeably dropped. It was cooler outside and it was darker than normal. It wasn't like normal daylight, but we weren't in the path of totality.
Right.
I know a lot of people who drove 3 hours north
to Rexburg,
they were in the
right?
up to Rexburg, Idaho, and they were in the path of totality. And they said like when it went directly overhead, like you took your glasses off and you could look directly up at it because you just saw the little outer corona ring. And that's kind of like the stuff kind of wafting off it basically, but it's not the direct sun. And they said that the sky looked like everywhere around you, it looked like a really deep, like sunset. Like everything was like, you could see a little bit of like color out towards the sides, but it was all around you, but it was dark and you could look up in the sky and it was just pitch black except for that kind of ring. And it was like 2 minutes and all these people talking about it. I was like, man, I wanted to go, but I didn't have the time to go up there and also to fight the crowds. And so I'm really sad that I missed it. So I'm planning on in 2024 to go to Texas. And I hear at that time, because of the way the earth rotates and everything else, science, the time in the path of totality is more like 4 minutes, where here, because of the way it was like just a little over 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like double the time.
So while I wasn't totally into it, I did appreciate just kind of from like taking a step back and saying like, this is something that like our entire country and to some extent the world, like kind of rallied around, right? And you see all these pictures of children and adults and parents and whatever, everybody looking up, right? And I think there's just something to be said that there's a lesson to be learned here that, so oftentimes we spend our lives looking down and worrying about everything in front of us and all the problems and this, that, but, we just need to look up. We need to look up and there was a sense of unity as well, which was kind of cool. Again, not a big thing of I wasn't into the whole eclipse myself, but it's kind of a cool thing to come together. I see, you could look it up on YouTube. I can see pictures of it, so, and not threaten my eyesight. But yeah, so that happened and, family was in town, which was cool. And it was a good week.
Nice.
So,
Kids are back in school now? They
are. School was started Monday, and my gosh, I have a son who's in junior high. So, Carter's in junior high, and so he got to take the bus, so I walked him to the bus for the first time. I was like, goodbye, my love! He's like, Dad, it's cool, I got this. But I actually... we had a little lesson about civility, about meeting new people, and this may sound really cheesy, but I was like, okay, guys, I will give you 10 cents for every person you meet who's somebody you didn't know before, and you have to learn something about them. They have a dog, or where they go on vacation for the summer, or whatever else. Carter came back today with 48 people written on a piece of paper, and like items about each one. He's like, you owe me $4.80. I'm like, dang it! Thought it was gonna be like a nickel or something. Dang it! So anyway, he made good.
Wait. You offered him 10 cents a person, yet you thought you were going to get away with a nickel? What, did he meet a half a person?
What I want to know about Carter is when he meets new people, does he still ever say, I licked your plate?
That was awesome, actually, yes.
Oh, man.
Yes. During a prayer at Spencer's house, we were all bowed head, and somebody says amen, and everybody looks up, and Carter at this time was like 3 years old, and he like whispers to Josh, I licked your plate. Josh is like, what the crap? Only Madura's son.
That's awesome. Good. So here's the thing. Was he going around with this like checklist? Like, did people see him approaching with this list?
Exactly. I asked him the same thing. I'm like, how did you do this? Were you like, hi, my name's Carter Madura. I'm trying to get 10 cents here. And like,
here's a clipboard. Please fill out your name and something interesting about yourself.
Write down your name and social security number. He's like, Dad, I ended up making a lot more than $4.80.
I got this guy, Ajus Nodal Pats. Man, I took him for everything he's worth. No, I asked him. He said, I just need your address so I can stalk you. He's like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm like, I hope they took that as a joke. Yeah, so he said it was actually much more conversational, and he came home like glowing. He's like, I met a bunch of new people. I was like, that's awesome. So
that's cool.
Kind of a cool social experiment. It's going to cost me a fortune.
That is interesting. Yeah, it's $4.80. Come on.
Oh, I know. I'm just kidding. Could have bought a bunch of pairs of glasses.
Yeah, you could have, and then you could have looked at the eclipse. But you're afraid of science, so you didn't.
I got ESPN, man, or a CNN.
You're like
ESPN. I watch Sports Center instead. Who needs an eclipse? I caught my baseball highlights.
That's right.
Nice.
Next time I want to see the eclipse, I just put my thumb up and just cover the sun. I'm like, oh, there it is. That's what it kind of looked like.
Yeah, that's how it works. Right. My week was really good. So I had a really interesting thing, and I think we talked about it a little bit on the podcast last week. Jason Bolth, super friend of ours and a brother of ours from back home, he drove cross country with a pint of Ollie's frozen custard.
That's right.
For me. And this week he called me up and he said, hey, when can we get together? I want to talk, and I've got this Ollie's custard. And I said, hey, I'm going to be down there Saturday in that region. Can I pick it up then? He said, actually, we're going to go up to Rexburg for the eclipse. And I said, oh, okay. And he says, hey, we're going to come up right now. So he drove with his wife, Leah, and his youngest son, Ezra. They drove an hour north to come drop off the Ollie's to me on was this Tuesday night? Wednesday night? Something like that. Anyway, it was so good to see Jace. He came up. We were talking and just, laughing and telling funny stories and just kind of getting caught up. And he was letting me know about how the funeral service went and, how all of his, siblings are doing and kind of what's going on. And Ezra, his youngest, is 5 years old and he has to go to the bathroom. He has to pee. But he has a bit of a phobia about going in bathrooms that aren't his own. Mm-hmm. And so we're trying to get him to go into our bathroom and, go pee, but he was shy, and so he didn't want to. And he started going Dad, can we go home? Can we go home? And Jason's like, yeah, but it's still an hour drive to get home. And I could see the pain, the mental anguish in this young man's, face. And I said, hey, Ezra, do you want to go pee outside? You just want to go out in the backyard and pee on my tree? And he kind of looks at me, and then he looked at his dad can I? And I was like, yeah, buddy. I'm like, just go outside. I'm like, go pee on my apple tree. It'll help it grow. And he goes, okay. And so his dad walked him out there, and a minute and a half later, he comes running back in and he fist bumps me. He goes, thanks. And he was so happy. He was see, the man just had to relieve himself. Now he feels so much better. And of course, we all laughed about it because, here we are what can we do? I'm like, just go pee out in the backyard. Don't worry about the neighbors. just make my apple tree grow.
Did he watch that fist bump before he gave it to you? I'm just kidding.
I think it was the other hand. I hope.
Right.
Both hands on the wheel, son.
So here's the real question: is as nice as it was of Jason to bring you up the Ollie's, frozen custard. I almost called it ice cream.
Good golly.
It's been too long. The frozen custard. The real question is, did it have a Whopper at the bottom?
No, it did not have a Whopper at the bottom.
Well,
that's if you get it in. That's if you get it in the cone.
I know.
Well, the other question is, what was the flavor? Was it apple strudel? Was it black raspberry? What did he get you?
Mint chocolate chip.
Hot dang.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the only sound effect this show has.
Yes. We'll talk about that sometime. Anyway, it was good to see him. This week, we also we talked a little while ago, and I think we maybe talked about in the podcast that we've been doing some serious adulting, trying to figure out our next kind of phase of life, if we're going to stay in this house, if we're going to try, what schools we're going to try to get the kids into. And we've made the decision that we're going to stay here in our house. Financially, it makes a lot of sense. And also, I just don't want to move. And the market's I could sell and sell it at a high price, but then I'm going to have to go buy at a high price too. And I don't feel we didn't feel like it was the right move for us. So, because we've decided to stay, now we're full on into project mode. It's okay, now that we know we're staying here, it's time to do some painting. And I think next spring I'm going to knock off the pathetic excuse of a patio or a deck in the backyard. I'm going to put in a real deck, something that's workable that we can put a kitchen, like a table and some chairs on, and like cover it and put a grill on it and make it workable. So yeah, we're painting. We painted 2 rooms over the weekend, and I also hardwired an Ethernet cable upstairs into the master bedroom so we can have a hard line up there so we can connect some of our devices and not rely on Wi-Fi and get faster speeds. It was really kind of nice to kind of start getting a head start, but now I'm looking around thinking, oh, this project of painting is going to go on for quite a while.
Don't you feel, though, like when you are able to come to a decision and you know that it's the right decision, isn't there just like a feeling of peace that comes, just like a settled feeling?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like it was one of those moments where when we came to the decision we made, like a lot of the stress and the worry that we had, like just fell away. It was like, okay, this is the right choice for us at this moment in time. And we have a clear vision of what we want to do as a family and how we're going to go forward. And it's a peaceful thought, but it's also comforting to know, like, we know the direction we're going in now. There's not the decision hanging over our head. It's not the worry. That doesn't mean like life's just going to be easy all of a sudden, but at least, having a sense of direction gives you that kind of like inner strength to proceed down the path you're going and tackle whatever new challenges are going to present to you, right?
That's awesome.
So,
well, kudos to you.
Yeah, we're really happy, of course, now though we're painting, and these surgically repaired shoulders don't do so well when you have to paint above your head and like hold stuff up for long, and anyway. So, but Brita likes to paint, which is good. So
there you go.
So I help. I didn't have to call Josh and ask him for help yet. Hey, Josh, I may need some help at some point.
I'm sorry, my audio just cut out.
I'm asleep.
Yeah. The only other thing that I had going on is this weekend I had a barbecue with my motorcycle club, and I got to hang out with the club on Saturday night, and that was a lot of fun. And we got to spend some time together, and it was good to see them. I feel like the last couple times that the club's gotten together for events recently, I've been other places, a wedding and, business, work stuff. And so it was really nice. Got to go on a nice bike ride down there to see them. Oh, and this weekend, I took Charlie out for his first motorcycle ride. And I know I put the picture
I saw it on Facebook,
up on Facebook. Yeah, but Charlie was super excited, and I put him in front of me, and I had him hold on to the handlebars, and I talked to him and explained to him about how he has to be still, and, kind of, how we have to treat the motorcycle with respect and all that. And then we just kind of went around the little kind of oval that's our block, and we went around one time, and I said, okay, you want to go again? He's like, yeah. And I said, do you want to go fast? And he goes, yeah. And so, of course, when we got to the straightaway, like I'm only doing like maybe 5 miles an hour. So I'm not going very fast because, I'm not going to hot dog it with my son on it. But I would goose the throttle and go up to about 10, but I'd let it settle back down to about 5, then I'd goose it. And so like it would just kind of jump a little bit and it would pin him against me and his head would flop back and he'd go, wee! It was having the greatest time. It was so much fun.
Speaking of goosing it reminds me of this one time when I was in high school. I knew this guy who had this other kid sitting on the top of his car, and all of a sudden, and he pegged the gas. I'm not going to name any names here.
And he flung that kid off his hood.
He was asking for it, giving me the stink eye. That crazy lip of his.
I remember it's my friend Matt. I remember he told me that day. I was like, how are you feeling? He's like, well, I've taken 19 Tylenol and my head still really hurts.
And that's when the drug addiction really started. He told me that he was picking asphalt out of his head. I'm like, I am really sorry if there's any permanent damage.
Well, it's one thing when you press the gas a little bit. It's another thing when you crank the wheel.
I will never forget this because he had this look on his head, because I was, of course, in the passenger seat. He looked like Hans Gruber at the end of Die Hard.
Yes.
When, like, he barely loses his grip, and, like, in slow motion, he's just, like, going, like, no, as he's, like, flying backwards and away from you.
Gosh.
And then, of course, it speeds up, and, you know, it lands on the back of his head.
All I have to say is it never really happens the same way as it does in the movies. That's all I gotta say.
No, it's called physics.
Well, I remember when he flew off the car, it was one of those things, same thing. I saw it in slow motion. I saw the look of terror in his face. I saw his head bounce. And I knew I shouldn't laugh, but I couldn't help myself, so I had to run to the other side of the church so that he wouldn't see me laughing.
Yeah, he was knocked out cold. He wasn't seeing anything.
Okay, so as I said last week's podcast, we went to that same church building where the alleged incident took place. I was not
multiple eyewitnesses. Alleged
video. There's still a blood mark on the pavement. Anyway, so we're at that same church building, and I have all the kids in the car, and we're about to leave, and I'm like, oh wait! So I turn and I go all the way around the church, and Kara's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I gotta show them this, and I pull around by the retention ditch. And I'm like, kids, that's where we pushed down the car. They're like, oh, you pushed down the car after the seminary? That girl's car all the way down in that ditch? I'm like, that's the ditch.
Multiple times.
Yeah, I know. Because you mentioned Sarah Bingham a few podcasts ago, and I was like, that's where we pushed Sarah Bingham's car. When we put it neutral, I'm like, yeah.
She'd go out looking for cars. She's like, where's my car? We're like, I don't know. And she looks around the grounds. It's in a retention ditch. Uh-huh. Yep.
Didn't have any water in it for those viewing at home. It was fine.
Yeah.
But
yep. I remember also trying to block that thing up during the wintertime so we could get water to pool in there so we could make like a little ice skating rink. Never seemed to work like we wanted it to either.
The ground being porous as it was.
Right.
Oh, good times.
Anyway, that was my week. Let's get into some Rebel Intelligence, shall we?
We shall.
I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
Okay, Steve, Rebel Intelligence, our favorite part of the podcast. What do you got for us this week?
First thing I want to talk about is the new Star Wars Battlefront 2 trailer. Have you guys seen this?
Oh, yeah.
Josh, have you seen this?
I haven't seen the newest one yet, no.
Good golly! It's amazing. It features, like, Poe and Darth Vader, Darth Maul, frickin' Yoda in the Millennium Falcon at a laser turret saying, like, I fear you not. It's amazing. And the graphics, of course, are stunning. I don't have any of the systems for which this plays on, but this trailer alone puts me like 87% there of like, just go out and buy it just for this game. It looks amazing.
Do it.
So here's the cool thing. Like I did see that trailer too. And the first game, Star Wars Battlefront, was a lot of fun, but I found like I really enjoyed the aerial missions. But like I felt it was lacking something.
Yeah.
And like the trailer with the in-game footage they were showing, it reminds me more of like, Josh, do you remember the old Star Wars Rebel Assault game? There was a flight sim, but you got to go around and like attack the Death Star, and you got to attack Star Destroyers. And
not only do I remember it, but I own it and we've been playing it. So yes.
Nice. I remember playing it on the PC. I remember Dad had it, and we had the flight stick that we could use for it. Anyway, like it reminded me of that. Like it reminded me of like a lot more control, and it just looks like the aerial levels are a lot better.
But I mean, it looks literally like you're watching a movie, a film. I mean, there's one scene that's or one level that takes place on Camino, of course, the water planet, and just like the stormy weather and the rain, it just is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
Now, so if
I was just gonna say that the first Battlefront is a game that Andrew and I played quite a bit of, and I'd considered for a while doing a Raising a Gamer video on that, but actually
wait and do the second one.
We're gonna wait and
yep.
My guess. I think this game comes out in November. I think.
Yeah. November 17th.
So
Xbox One, PS4, and PC.
My guess is it'll be under the Christmas tree. That's just a wild guess.
I hope he doesn't listen to this
sense.
podcast. What? It's too.
He's not allowed to listen to the
risque
podcast for all the hardcore risqueness that's happening.
All of Steve's foul mouth.
That's right.
Right. Okay, so here's something interesting that came out this week. So there's a comic book that's out or coming out called The White Knight, and it's a Batman comic book. It's not in the necessarily the main continuity, but anyway, it's unique and different because Batman's actually the villain and the Joker is the hero in this.
What?
And
is this some sort of like spin-off, or is this like a legit DC comic?
No, it's a legit DC comic.
Okay.
But here's the interesting thing about it. They revealed the real true name of the Joker. Now, this is in this comic, but DC's kind of like giving the official nod saying like, hey, this is pretty much the name. And it's a name you've heard before, but you probably wouldn't necessarily think this is maybe the name because you only heard this one other time. The name is Jack Napier.
Oh, from Michael Keaton's Batman.
Yeah, from the 1989 Michael Keaton Batman.
Oh,
so
it's
Jack.
That one?
So the interesting thing is then is that the Joker's name we've known for like 30 years.
Right.
But now we're actually getting like the official confirmation from DC that this is the Joker's true name, Jack Napier, before he becomes the Joker, the Clown Prince of Crime. So, how do you feel about that, Josh?
That's fine. I don't know. It's cool. I don't know if I really have a strong feeling one way or the other. I'm not. I love Batman, but I'm not really much of a comic book reader, so I don't really keep up on him. But yeah, that's cool. It's a nice little twist.
It's just interesting to me that like, because I remember when the '89 Batman came out, and I was like, Jack Napier becomes Batman, because we'd never really gotten a name before, so I figured it was always like just a name that they made up, Tim Burton made up for that movie, right? Because it was nowhere else, but now it's been confirmed.
Jack, you are my number one. Jack,
I'm my number one.
A guy.
A guy. Yes.
I want to watch
seriously.
that again.
Dude, Jack Nicholson is so good as the Joker in that movie.
Yeah.
So good.
All
right, what do you got for us, Steve?
All right, one other thing. Stranger Things. Always need to talk about that. It's almost like Ben Affleck. So I read an article this week about Stranger Things and the trailer that we all drooled over that came out during Comic-Con. And the music supervisor, her name is Nora Felder, admitted that she had a really difficult time getting permission to use the Clash's "Should I Stay or Should I Go?"
Really?
The reason is the band was really concerned. They I don't know if they're not fans of the show, or they've been under a rock for a year or two, but they were really concerned about it not being used as a joke or about like monsters from an alternative world. And so she to convince them to let them use the song. And again, I don't know if it's the band or if it's just somebody who owns the name who's bought it from the band, years ago. But she had to pitch them that the song was not going to be used, with a show about monsters and other dimensions. It was about the bonds of family and friends and all this stuff. So she kind of had to do a little spin doctor, a little spin on that. But they just didn't want their song and their music trivialized. So she made sure of that, and I think it was used really well in the trailer to really show there are two things where it shows. It shows some kind of breakup of friends, and it also shows about, staying in one dimension or the other. So it, anyway, almost didn't happen. But what's interesting about that, even more interesting, is that I clicked on a link within that story, and it talked about how the Thriller song was not used until the very end. So they had worked and tried and just gone backward and forward, and they just felt like the trailer needed this song. They couldn't get it. They couldn't get approval from those who hold the rights. And so they actually made it, canned it, and sent it to San Diego for Comic-Con without that song as part of the trailer. And then
really?
Just like a last-ditch effort, he's like, I'm going to try one more time. And so Sean Levy, who is the executive producer, just kind of put his broker hat on and made the deal happen. They reshot the thing with the song in it, shipped it out. So
Wow, that's cool. Now, let me ask you this, Steve, because I remember we took a marketing class in college.
Yep.
And I remember there was a car company that says, like, you can use our cars in the movies as long as you don't show, like, cut up body parts in the trunk or, you know, like, mutilate, like, any sort of, like, human being disposed of from this vehicle. I can't remember if it was, like, Mercedes-Benz, maybe?
It was Cadillac? Or
Mercedes-Benz. And I also, like, we also talked about, like, famously, right, like Reese's Pieces, like they wanted to do M&Ms in E.T., right?
Right.
But, like the Mars company, like would not let them use M&Ms because they're like, well, it's about this space alien and we're not really sure. So they said no. So they passed on it. And so of course, then they went out and got Reese's Pieces, and like that's probably the only reason why Reese's Pieces exist still and people still eat them is because they became wildly popular because they were in that film.
Yeah.
And so like. It's interesting that you were talking about like the clash. Like, I think companies and entities, especially creative entities, like they want to protect their intellectual property, right? I mean, they want to make sure that it's used in the right light. I mean, I know the Beatles, you know, didn't license a lot of their music. So they're like, we don't want our song, you know, Revolution to be selling, you know, Nike sneakers.
Right.
Because that's not what that song's about. It's not selling, you know, merchandise. Same thing like Led Zeppelin's been notoriously hard for licensing any of their music for anything.
Yet Cadillac uses theirs or did use theirs, Rock and Roll, that
right.
song.
And Thor Ragnarok has got this song in the trailer.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, I know it does happen, but like it's just interesting that the Clash was like that's strict on, you know, like it can't be used to show monsters. It has to have some sort of like redeeming quality in order to use it.
But then what's cool, like you said, with the Mars and the Reese's Pieces is that, you know, this song is now associated with a 18 Emmy Award winning show that could, you know, totally put the Clash back on the map. Not that they need to be put back on the map, but you know, just could give their song and just them new life. You know? True. Immortality. So.
Right. So do you remember how was it the, oh gosh, I'm going to space it. Star Wars Episode 7? How James Bond, aka Daniel Craig, actually was in the movie as a stormtrooper. He was in that scene where Rey's like, you know, you're going to unchain me. You're going to hand me your blaster. And he's like, I'm going to unchain you. I'm going to give you my blaster. And we found out later that was Daniel Craig. Like he was in England. He was filming for Bond. And he's like, please put me in. I'll be in a stormtrooper outfit. You don't even have to credit me. Nothing like that. Right. And that happened. Well, John Boyega, who plays Finn, basically kind of let the cat out of the bag that it's possible. He said that the British royalty, Prince William and Prince Harry, were almost or nearly in Star Wars, dressed up as stormtroopers with no lines. And then he kind of like backed off the statement a little bit, and then kind of hinted at that maybe they actually did film parts where they were in stormtroopers, but maybe that's been edited out and cut out, but maybe not. So it's possible that Prince William and Prince Harry are maybe stormtroopers in this upcoming the last episode 8, The Last Jedi. It doesn't change the movie, like knowing that, right? Because it's like, I know the actor that played, you know, Chewbacca, his name is Peter Mayhew, you know, that doesn't change the character and, you know, the movies at all. But it is kind of like just a little interesting tidbit to find out that like James Bond wanted to be in a Star Wars so bad that he was an uncredited actor, and that possibly, you know, the two princes of England could have been in it as uncredited actors. That's just kind of a little interesting tidbit I thought that our super friends may like to hear.
It definitely makes for an interesting, you know, bonus feature issue, you know, to have that little tidbit in there, and yeah, it's cool.
Sure, yeah.
You wonder what other stars, you know, did Whoopi Goldberg play at the cantina? It's like, that was me.
Guinan? Wait a minute, we're mixing the two Trekking wars. I'm sorry.
Well.
Although I can't remember his name, but the guy that plays Scotty in the new Star Trek was in Star Wars: The Force Awakens as well. Gosh, I can't think of his name.
They crossed the streams?
He was the big fat blobby guy that gives out her food portion in the beginning.
Oh, is he the voice?
Yeah. Well, he's in the suit. He's actually in the suit.
Oh, really?
What is his name? I can't think of it.
Simon Pegg.
Yeah, Simon Pegg. Yep.
Yeah, Simon Pegg. Interesting. Good to know.
Now, have you guys heard? Speaking of Star Wars, that it is official. It was made official just I think this week or last that an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie is in the works.
Woot woot! I'm excited.
What's up? It's I don't know how to feel about this. I think that we're kind of wrapping up the Luke saga, and we're the Last Jedi's coming out, and they've got a Han Solo movie, They've got Episode 9, I think, due in May of 19, and now you've got this Obi-Wan Kenobi standalone. My thought is that while I would probably go and see it, I'll go see the Han movie as well. I just wonder if there's some kind of like prequel fatigue, that there's just like, I don't know. I saw a few comments, and I tend to agree with them that it seems like, some of these properties are just kind of scared to push some of the narratives forward, and instead just kind of fill unnecessary story gaps and asides and these different things instead of just moving forward, moving on. I don't know. Like, what do you guys think?
So I know what you're saying, and I get that. Like Rogue One was an excellent movie.
Mm-hmm.
But story-wise, like, it did fit into a nice gap, and it told a story that we knew that the rebels got the plans to the Death Star, but we didn't know how, and we didn't know under what circumstances, and we didn't know there was a big battle that was fought over them. We just knew they were on a little data disk, right? But then Rogue One fleshed that out. With the Han Solo, like, I've read some of the novels that kind of tell backstory of Han Solo that technically now aren't canon, but used to be part of the extended universe. Now they're, I don't know what they're calling it, fictional universe or some craziness like that. But Legacy, I think it's Legacy. Don't fact check me on this, guys. Right. It's late at night, but I think there's some cool stuff to be told there. And like on the Obi-Wan Kenobi thing, like the last time you really see him in Star Wars Episode 3, like he's taking off to go drop off like Luke and Leia, right? Kind of separating out the twins. And then the next time we see him, he's an old man on Tatooine. Right. So I think there could be a between. Yeah, lots happen in between. Like we could actually see like, what really takes place. Does he try to, because we know that there's a big period of the next 18 years where there's a lot of like mopping up of, Darth Vader chasing down and hunting down rogue Jedi. Like, was he trying to help other Jedi, or was he just, hanging out on Tatooine for the next 18 years watching over Luke? I think if they're going to have a movie, I think they're going to show him doing other stuff and not just being a silent guardian in the shadows watching over, young Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I just wonder, as the pendulum swings one way and we have these epic stories where all these tie-ins and these lead-ins and these characters come and you see this whole building and building and building, that it's going to swing the other way where people are going to just want what I would call or classify as small stories. Like Spider-Man Homecoming, there was no Infinity Stones, there was no Thanos, it was just like some blue-collar thieves, and it was kind of his backstory, but it was like... Yeah. No galaxy-saving prophecies and all the rest. Just like a wandering Jedi samurai who, just, I don't know. We learn more about who he was and how he came to be, as opposed to, this whole thing about Obi-Wan sets in motion the events that finally destroy the second Death Star without knowing it, and it's this big...
Yeah. I get that.
Crescendo as opposed to just a simple story.
Josh, did you ever play The Old Republic? There was an Xbox game.
Nope, never have.
So that was like a really cool Star Wars game, and it was set like 10,000 years before the events of the movie.
Wow.
And I really enjoyed the story in that game. And I think that that's something that they could expand on. They could go like way back in time, get before the whole Skywalker family saga, right? And they could go back in time and they could start us with different characters and, go back. And I think that game could be done as a retelling in a movie really, really well. But I think maybe that's the way to go. Like, go back in time before that. Don't worry about the prophecies about bringing balance to the Force, because you could go back in time before there was ever a need for that prophecy, right? But I get you.
Yeah, for a universe that's seemingly infinite in size and potential, it seems like we could have some new kind of stories.
I get it. My only thought is this, that right now I'm going to give Disney the benefit of the doubt. Because in my opinion, and I think most, they're 2 for 2 right now. The Force Awakens, Rogue One, they're both excellent movies. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with this, going back and doing these side stories, because it's kind of, I don't want to say a filler that makes it sound like it's just something they're throwing in there. But in a sense, it is something that fills in the gaps between the main stories. And so I'm okay with that. I mean, I hope they don't do a background story on every single last main character in Star Wars. And my only real concern with some of these backstories is just how believable are these actors going to be? Because for fans of Star Wars, when you think of Obi-Wan, you're probably going to think of what's his name?
Sir Alec Guinness.
Right. And I mean, I guess people could say, well, they already did, episode 1, 2, and 3.
Ewan McGregor.
Right. Yeah. But if they keep, plugging different actors in, same thing with Han Solo. Like, I wonder, is it going to be a distraction to see a different actor portraying Han Solo? It's the same thing if you remember the old Harry Potter movies when, and I'm going to get his name wrong as well, but the actor that played Dumbledore in the first 2 movies.
Right, Richard Harris.
Richard Harris, thank you. When he passed away and they had to replace him,
with Michael Gambon.
Yes, thank you.
Did not like the second guy.
Really, I actually really liked him, but at first, it kind of it took a little while to get used to it, because you're like, hey, that's not Dumbledore.
That's right.
Right. I think they should have just gone with Gandalf and just made it more confusing for people.
They switched out 5 Ultimate Warriors and nobody knew the difference. So, come on.
That's right. That's right. One last thing that I've got. Actually, I got two things, but the one last big story. Today, there was an announcement that DC Films is going to be coming out with a Joker origin story movie. It's going to be produced by Martin Scorsese, and it's going to be, I think, directed, by the guy's name is Todd Packer. I think it's Todd. Maybe it's
Todd Packer from The Office.
Maybe it's not Todd Packer, but
who has 2 thumbs and hates Todd Packer? This
guy. But he did the Hangover movies. Anyway, they're gonna do a Joker origin movie. But get this, it is not going to be necessarily in the main line of the movies like Suicide Squad and Justice League, and they're not gonna cast Jared Leto as the Joker. So they're going to cast a new actor to play the Joker.
So just what we were talking about with Dumbledore and Han Solo and all the rest.
Right. And so I'm interested to see this, but I mean, man, at this point, we're going to have had Cesar Romero as the Joker in the old 1966 Batman. You're going to have Jack Nicholson as the Joker. You're going to have Heath Ledger as the Joker, Jared Leto as the Joker, and then the animated stuff, most famously is Mark Hamill as the Joker, and then a few others in a couple that he didn't do. But man, we're getting a lot of different actors that'll play the Joker, and a Joker standalone movie. I don't know. But Martin Scorsese is going to produce it, so it probably will be good.
You know what I think they should do? I think they should throw everybody for a loop and have Michael Keaton play the Joker. What's up, y'all? He'd be awesome.
He does play a great villain if you've seen Spider-Man Homecoming. Goodness.
That's true. On.
And Google tells me it's Todd Phillips, not Todd Packer.
Yeah, close enough.
What has Google ever been right about anything?
Todd Packer.
Hey, Michael, I left you a present. Really? I didn't find it. Yeah, I left it on the carpet. Anyway, last quick thing. If you've been watching on Netflix the Marvel series Daredevil or Jessica Jones or Luke Cage or Iron Fist, The Defenders just released this last week, so you can now stream the entire first season of The Defenders. I'm trying to currently get caught up on season 2 of Daredevil. So I'm personally not going to be watching Daredevil, the Defenders for a little bit because I got to finish Daredevil season 2 and then Luke Cage and then Iron Fist. So I got a little ways to go, but that's kind of big news if you're a Marvel fan and you're a Netflix subscriber. That's awesome. Speaking of which, let's jump back to the question of the week from last week, shall we?
Yes.
Last week we asked you, after our discussion about the old breakup between Netflix and Disney that's forthcoming, what side are you on? Are you team Netflix? Are you team Disney? Are you team Edward? Are you team Jacob? Josh is team Edward. But if you're interested, here's some of the responses we got. Let's go over to Facebook first. Caleb Albers says, "This has been a really tough decision for me. Netflix is great and Disney owns so much content. Netflix has a lot of original content, but it raises the question regarding Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. What happens to them? Marvel being owned by Disney would mean that Disney would take them away from Netflix and continue the show, or would they let Netflix keep producing the shows and basically take away any possibilities for Netflix to add new heroes to their list of shows? I'm really on the fence about this, but my heart lies with Marvel. I'm going to follow Marvel. Before Hulk became my favorite hero, Daredevil was. Even with his crap movie with Ben Affleck. Though in his defense, that was a time before we enjoyed the standard for hero movies we have today. But either way, I'm on whoever's side keeps Daredevil and the Defenders moving forward. And the Punisher. John Barenthal is an incredible Punisher, and I want a ton more content with him in it. This transition will definitely be interesting to watch. As for whose side I'll be on in the final days, I'm with Marvel. Wherever they go, I go."
Huh.
So that was Caleb Albers on Facebook. I think maybe we talked about this a little bit, but I think that the Marvel shows are like being done by Netflix, so that they're still going to be on Netflix for a while, and they could be on there for quite a while. I don't think they're going away anytime soon. I think they're kind of been in discussions about that.
Well, at least Disney will have one subscriber, so there you go.
There you go. Let's go over to the Twitters, and let's see what the tweets say. Nathan Thomas, at Voiced by Nathan, says, "If the Marvel partnership goes, I have less of a reason to stay. House of Cards is winding down after all." So, another person who's a big Marvel fan. Devin Tyus then jumps on, at Dev A. Tyus, and he says, "I'd keep Netflix. Most Disney stuff I buy anyways. Only way I'd get Disney app is if the Marvel stuff went there as well." So it's kind of like I was kind of saying, like, we buy a lot of the Disney stuff, so we probably wouldn't do Disney, but yeah, if Marvel stuff goes there, I mean,
I think it's going to be interesting as well. Like what Caleb Albers says is some of those properties that are kind of on the fence as to who owns them, where they're going to go, and some of the TV shows and whatnot. So,
Chowfie, at that Chowfie, says, "Same here." He's responding to Devin Tyus. He says, "Same here. I still buy a physical triple pack of Disney to keep in the car and digital on devices. Netflix has strong content without Marvel or Pixar. So it sounds like he'll probably stay with Netflix as well." And then Trash Turkey, at Trash Turkey, says, "I'm with Netflix. Mystery Science Theater 3000 is greater than Mickey." And then let's see here. I think we had one other one I wanted to read.
Hey Spence, is Mystery Science Theater 3000, is that like in full swing now?
Yeah, it's back. They've been doing some new stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know if how it had been received, but that's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, they've been doing their own thing, and I think we watched that little preview that they did for Stranger Things, which was so funny. Steve, also this week I did ask a question because we needed to pick a movie for an upcoming movie club, and so I said, hey, give us some ideas for things you want to review. Trash Turkey, at Trash Turkey, says King of Kong, Fistful of Quarters. says best video game doc period, which I know, Steve, you and I have actually both watched.
Gosh, that's a fantastic movie. Well, good recommendation. That's awesome.
Yep. So that's an idea we'll talk about after the podcast. The geeky nerd at dspin67 says Alien Covenant. And suspense, but
it's not horror.
Yeah, we'll talk. And then we also got a response over on Facebook. Caleb Albers asked us, what about The Founders, which is on Netflix, which I believe is about Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's.
Oh, I did see that, actually. I mean, I haven't watched it, but I've seen it on Netflix, and I've been thinking about... I thought it was the answer to Super Size Me. I'm like, they finally answered back.
You could do a combo and do Super Size Me as well.
There you go. Well, guys, we always appreciate you super friends reaching out to us and answering our question of the week. You always can reach us and get to us on Twitter at FortofNerd, or email, which is fortofnerd@gmail.com, or Facebook, which is facebook.com/fortofnerd. Steve, we're always looking for more super friends to join us here in the Fortress of Nerditude. How can our current super friends help us out?
They can rate us on iTunes so the Fortress of Nerditude isn't as hard to accomplish as throwing a young man off of your car in reverse at 20 miles an hour. Sorry, man. It hurt me a lot more than it hurt you. No, it's not that hard. See, it's really easy to rate us. Just go. Rate us. It'd be great. Does Matt listen to this, by the way? Does he hop on this every once in a while? Does he listen?
Probably not, thankfully.
Thank heavens. Okay.
He's like, why are they talking about the moment they almost killed me?
He probably doesn't even remember it. Brain damage will do that to you.
It's probably a drooling vegetable.
Well, originally, Super Friends, we had an idea of what we wanted to talk about. But like I said, we called an audible and we brought Josh in today because something big kind of happened today and we want to talk about it. So, Josh, you got one of the NES Classic Mini editions a while back ago that was released like last year, right?
Yeah, I know this isn't a video podcast, but if you could see right behind me, I actually have it on display on a shelf here, and I got mine by pure dumb luck because it was so incredibly hard to find. It was sold out everywhere. It was one of those things where I had all these alerts on my phone for when they were in stock, and you'd get an alert, you'd call a place or try and order it online, and it would be gone. And one day I was at work, and I can't remember the name of the website, but it's one of those where you check stock inventory.
Now in stock?
No.
Okay.
But I'd recognize it if I heard it. But anyways, it said that Target in Centerville, which is about 15, 20 minutes north of Salt Lake where I work, it said that they had 40 of them in stock. And so me and a coworker were like, let's run up there for our lunch break. We ran up there and they were sold out. But right next to the Target was a GameStop. And just on a whim, we said, let's just run in and check. So we walk into the GameStop. We asked the employee, said, hey, do you have any NES Classics? And you almost feel guilty asking because they get that question 10 million times a day, right?
Of course, yeah.
So we kind of sheepishly asked, said, hey, do you have any NES Classics? And the guy said, no, I'm sorry. And we were about to walk out. There was 3 of us in the store, myself, my coworker, and another individual. And another GameStop employee comes from the back. And he looks out and says, how many of there are you here in the store? Because all 3 of us were looking. We looked around. We're like, there's 3 of us. He's like, I just got 3 of them in a shipment right now. He's like, let me scan them into our system and I'll sell them right to you. So yeah, pure dumb luck that I found my NES Classic. But yes, I do have one.
Okay,
that's
so
awesome.
Long story short, you got one.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
So wait, Josh, can you? Because you said it was behind you. Can you move the poster of Shania Twain? I can't see it there. Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. Thank you. There it goes. Is that in your basement?
Yeah. So
yep, down in my basement. This is actually where we record Raising a Gamer. So yeah.
So the NES Classic Edition was $60, and after they had some snafus, because you got to remember they said that this was going to be a limited time thing, and they said they were going to have. They were going to try to get more out because they knew there was a lot of consumers that weren't getting their hands on this. And then all of a sudden they were like, and we're done making it. And they just kind of said, hey, we're done. And that was, I think, in April of this year. And it was really hard to find. And the problem is this, is like Nintendo has been known recently, in the last number of years, to kind of manufacture shortages where they say like, hey, we only have this many, and they only send a few to each retail store. And so it creates a buzz and people talk about it, and like it creates this fervor like the Tickle Me Elmo doll in the 90s where people are like racing out to try to find this thing. But Nintendo upset a lot of people though, because two things. One, in the US, they didn't do any pre-orders for the NES Classic. They only did those like over in Europe. And two, said they stopped making them when the demand was so stinking high. I don't have one. I desperately want one, but I don't want to go on eBay and pay $300 for something that retail sold for $60. And so I was upset about that. Nintendo came out and they said, hey, we're going to make things right. We're going to do this Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition, and we're going to have a whole lot more. We underestimated the demand for the NES Classic, so we're going to make sure we got a ton more for the SNES Classic, and we're going to do pre-orders in the US. So, of course, us as fans and collectors and people who want to get it, we like what we're hearing, right? I mean, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So then a little earlier this month, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, was a little earlier this month, they said, hey, we're going to do pre-orders near the end of August because the console is actually going to release the 29th of September. Okay, right? So now, I, like you, Josh, I signed up on Amazon to get alerts. I signed up on Best Buy to get alerts. I signed up on Walmart to get alerts, Target to get alerts. I also went on a couple different websites that'll say like, hey, we got these in stock or they're available for pre-order. So I've got all these alerts set and I'm all ready to see these things. And there was rumors that over the weekend they may start coming. So like all weekend long, I kept refreshing my browser on my phone, which drained my phone a few times. I had to charge up because I was looking for these things because I want to make sure I don't miss out on this. So, what happens in the middle of the night last night, Josh?
Well, I can actually tell you because since I have a baby that doesn't want to sleep, I was up feeding Jake and it was probably 1 a.m. and my phone had blown up because Best Buy and Amazon had unleashed their pre-orders. They waited until the cover of darkness to do this. And
right.
So I was thinking, hey, this might be good for me because I'm up at this crazy hour. Maybe I'll get one. No, they were long gone.
Yeah, so first of all, Nintendo said like there's only 6 retailers that are going to be doing pre-orders, right? And they said it was going to be Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, and GameStop. Like that was like on their Nintendo page. And I woke up this morning and I saw that Best Buy and Amazon released their pre-orders in the middle of the night when most of people are going to be sleeping, the day after the eclipse, when a lot of people are going to be, out and about or not away from home and traveling, to these areas where they can get Path of Totality. And I know cell coverage was down in a lot of these areas. And then they released their pre-orders in the middle of the night. I woke up and I was angry. Like, I'm still angry about it. Why not say, hey, we're going to open up for pre-orders at this time and let people know. And I know some people have said, well, if you follow this person on Twitter or this person on Twitter, they kind of leaked when it was going to happen. It's like, dude, it happened at 1 a.m. I was asleep. I'm not gonna wake up my phone because some random person on Twitter is gonna leak that's gonna happen. So I'm already upset this morning, right? I'm not happy. Best Buy and Amazon, I didn't get an alert from either one of them, and I'm signed up for alerts. Don't get my alerts, so I'm upset. Okay. Then this morning, a lot of people are taking to social media and talking about it, and they're upset. And then we get this news that, hey, it looks like Walmart and Target were going to open up their pre-orders at 11 a.m. our time, so like 10 a.m. Pacific time, right? Now, I started texting Josh about half an hour before saying, hey, it looks like this is happening. They're going to open up pre-orders. Get on this. And I tagged him in a Twitter conversation that was going because I wanted him to see this from other places as well. And right at 11 o'clock our time, boom, Walmart goes up. The pre-orders go live. I immediately click on it. I add it to my cart. I immediately go and click my pre-saved information. I go to checkout, and it says that they're all sold out, they're out of stock, and it removed it from my cart.
Hey, no.
Oh, I was furious. And then I hear from Josh. That happened to Josh, too.
Yeah, it happened to me on multiple fronts. I tried, I was signed up on Twitter through a site called Nin Mobile News, where they will, alert you of when these things come in stock. And I got alerts for Best Buy, didn't get them. I got alerts for Walmart, didn't get them. Alerts for GameStop, pretty much everywhere. And the thing that was really frustrating is you'd get a tweet saying, hey, they're available now, go, go, go. You would go, and then like 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds later, another tweet would come out saying sold out. So at first I was like, okay, something's fishy here, because either they're only putting 100 up for pre-order, or there's something else going on. And
right.
So yeah, that was really, really frustrating. And come to find out, and Spencer, I don't know if you're going to talk about this. But,
oh yeah.
But there was an article, I think it came out on Kotaku.
Polygon. That's where I first saw
Polygon.
it. Yep.
Saying that people are buying this bot program, which will make them put them ahead of everyone else, and so they're able to buy 4 or 5 at a time before anyone else can buy any.
So the way this bot works is that it doesn't, like, as a human, I've got to click it to add it to my cart. Then it takes me to the confirm your cart, where you make sure you put in your address and your credit card information, and then you click confirm, and then it goes to check you out, right? Which I said, Walmart crapped out on me and Target crapped out on me. So I had it in my cart 2 different places. But these bots, what they do is they basically, once the SKU for the item goes live, it goes immediately to the checkout of the cart, pre-enters in all that information. You don't have to go through the pages. So it's not like the bot does the same process that a human does in the same amount of time. It just skips past all that, and they wrote this script to do that. And you can buy this script for like $110.
And here's the thing. I mean, that alone stinks. But the thing that really stinks to me about this is that if you're buying 5 of them at a time, and you're probably doing the same thing on all these different websites,
right?
You're not doing this to pass them out to cousins and brothers
friends,
and sisters.
Yeah.
You're doing this because you're a scalper and because you want to throw them on eBay for $350, $400. Now, I don't want to sound hypocritical. I sell video games on eBay all the time, but I sell them pickups from garage sales. I'm not finding items that are highly sought after, or something that you can't. Well, I mean, some of them are stuff you can't get because they're 20, 30 years old, but it's not the current hot item, right?
Right.
So for me, I that's kind of where I draw the line is, a garage sale, that's fine. If I can find something cheap and make a couple bucks on it, that's great. But I'm not going to go out there and buy something that everyone else is, trying so hard to get, and then, jack the price up 6-7 times. That to me is just sleazy. Over Black Friday this last year, I was in line for a couple of items at the store. And, I was trying to get my daughter a Christmas present, and one of these items I was in line for 4 hours. And there was probably 40 of us in line, and probably half of these people were scalpers. They weren't getting it for their kids. They were getting it because they were going to make a couple bucks on it. And, that really frustrates me quite a lot, especially with these items that there's, supposedly, I guess we don't really know about the Super Nintendo Classic yet, but the fear is that there's going to be such low inventory on it.
And that Nintendo's going to pull the plug on us before you have a chance to get it, which they did with the NES Classic.
Right. Now, I will say, to their credit, they have at least this go around, they have been upfront and they have said this is going to be a limited item, and we'll sell it through Christmas, and then I think they said February or March of next year it'll be done.
Yeah.
Why they're doing that, I don't really know, but at least they're telling people this is definitely a short-term thing. One of the thoughts is that it is a production issue, that with them trying to make more Nintendo Switches, that this is slowing down that. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's one of the things I've heard.
I have a hard time with that, because here's the thing. I'm a consumer. I want your product. I'm willing to hand over hard-earned money for it. If the demand is this big, and the demand is this big, why not keep making it? Because I know companies will say, look, we have steady growth of sales, right? And then they can start seeing when the growth of the sales start slumping and start going down. Why not do that then when it's obvious that people aren't buying them anymore, and there's been a nice long steady stream of product and inventory that people can get? Why not do that? Why not make more money? Because here's the thing, like, people say, well, it's a limited time and it creates buzz, and I'm like, that's fine, but they're selling it at the normal cost, the normal price. So if I sell this to you for $80 and I make 10 of them, I'm only going to make $800. But if I can make 10 million of them and sell 10 million for $80 a pop, why would I not want to do that? If the demand's there. It's
definitely an interesting thing that Nintendo does, because, I definitely love Nintendo, and I hope this doesn't come across as being a Nintendo hater, because, I've owned every single Nintendo console, and definitely...
Nintendo hater?
I've definitely spent my fair amount of money towards Nintendo products. However, they've kind of brought this about themselves, and it's not just with the NES Classic, it's not just with the Super Nintendo Classic. I mean, you look at Amiibos, there's always
shortages.
More demand. Yeah, there's always shortages for Amiibos. You go back, you look at the Nintendo Wii. You couldn't find those for the first year and a half.
Yeah.
And now the Nintendo Wii was kind of one of those lightning in a bottle situations where it ended up being, a lot more popular than probably even they thought. And you could say that about the NES Classic as well. But this time around, before I get too mad about the pre-order thing, I want to see if they actually are going to be, if they're going to keep their word, and if there are actually going to be a lot more Super Nintendo Classics than Nintendo Classics, because that's one of the things they've said is we know there's going to be a higher demand, and so they've claimed that they're ramping up production and that you will see these things in stores.
I'm mad. I'm sorry. I'm mad about the pre-order thing, and I know the blame I'm going to give a lot of different places, but ultimately I think it goes back to Nintendo. Don't set up this manufactured shortage. If you're going to ship, let's say they're going to ship 1 million of these things, why not toss up half the inventory for pre-order? Why not let Amazon have, if you're going to 6 retailers, why not let Amazon have 75,000 of these things to put up for pre-order? Why not let Best Buy do the same? I know they would sell. I know that you would get all the pre-orders. Why not do that? Why cause this sort of problem? What does Nintendo gain by it other than buzz? I mean, and Nintendo's been around for a long time. It's not like people don't know who Nintendo is.
Right. I mean, I don't know, Steve, you have more of the marketing and business background. Do you see a reason? I mean, definitely there's buzz and there's talk. I mean, we're talking about it right now, but there's a difference between talk and between actual sales that they're potentially missing out on when, they're basically letting the scalpers make the sales and make the big bucks.
Yeah, no, it's a conundrum that I think we've talked about. I don't know, 6 months ago or something when I think the NES Classic came out, and I think that part of the reason of why, if I were Nintendo, I would pull it quickly. I don't know the shortage and limited supply, production supply, but to pull it quickly is because it can cannibalize the larger moneymakers, right? So it's all about profits. And so, and about margins. And so if the NES Classic, they make it for who knows how much, they sell it for 80, they can make much more money likely on selling a Switch with all of the Joy-Cons and all the other things that go along with it. There are no extras, it's like you go to the gas station and they don't make any money on the gas. They make pennies on the gas. What they make money on is the beef jerky, and they make money on the car washes and the Slurpees and all that other crap. And so I don't know if buzz is the only reason why they would kind of pop it and stop it, but I think definitely pulling it has something to do with cannibalizing their real money makers.
See, so. I get that. Like I think in a lot of industries I'd say yes, but here's the thing: like the SNES Classic and the NES Classic, they're not running like carts that they're selling, cartridges. It's an emulator. It's playing emulated ROMs. So like the actual cost to produce that thing has got to be dirt cheap. So I would imagine that the margin has to be really high on this item. So why not cash in? So let's go to today. So you had Amazon and Best Buy who did their pre-orders under the cover of night. I'm not happy about that. I think it's bad on them. It's bad communication. Not cool. Now then in the Target and the Walmart thing, they kind of leaked it out and they kind of said, okay, we're doing this today. And that kind of started catching on. But once again, it wasn't like super definitive from them. And of course, these hackers using this, I think it was called the Taiping bot, or the script bot, purchased them up. I mean, Walmart sold out in under a minute of all their pre-orders. Target was the exact same. So it's definitely shady. GameStop's website was so flooded with traffic that I even checked it like tonight, like an hour or two ago, and their website is still down. It's been down all day. And the other retailer, Toys R Us was supposed to do pre-orders today, according to Nintendo, but Toys R Us came out and said, we're not doing pre-orders.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to do it in store. Now, here's the other side. GameStop goes down, right? Their website goes down. You could actually walk into a GameStop and you could pre-order in store. But the catch was each GameStop, there was only 10 total for pre-order in every single GameStop. So people would be like, I saw an article that said like, I think it was in San Francisco maybe, there was like 43 people in line to walk in and do a pre-order. The first 10 of them get a pre-order. The other 33, sorry, we know you waited for hours. Too bad. Now, and
if you want someone to be mad at, though, to me, the place where most of my anger is directed towards is GameStop, because GameStop owns ThinkGeek.
Oh yes, this drives me nuts.
And one of the things that they're doing is you can go on and you can get a pre-order right now. However, they're bundling in a whole bunch of just garbage stuff that they can't sell, that they have excess inventory of, and they're jacking the price up. So in some,
what kind of stuff? Like totally unrelated, like doorknob polish and spatulas.
It's video game stuff, but it's like a Tetris lamp or just kind of some random thing. And some of it might be okay,
like a plush Mario doll and like a little question mark mug.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Or like,
and they want like
$140. So they basically have these things that aren't selling. And I mean, yeah, it might on their end be, a smart business tactic to get rid of some inventory. But at the same point, it leaves a sour taste in a lot of these consumers' mouths where it's like, okay, I can go and I can spend $150, $200. But at that point, basically GameStop's becoming a scalper of their own.
Right.
Instead of just selling their regular inventory, they're jacking up the price. And they did the same thing with the NES Classic. And they had, long after the NES Classic was supposedly sold out everywhere, they still had them, but you had to pay $200-$300 and buy a whole, pile of
bunch
hot
of junk
garbage.
You don't want. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want that.
That makes me so angry. Like we want this. And now let me be frank. Let me be honest about this.
Hi, Frank.
Yeah, thanks. I'm upset about this. I'm really upset about this. There's so many parts of today and this whole debacle that this became that has me just upset. But if I'm being honest, this is really first world problems, right? It's a video game system. We're getting, a video game console that's a retro throwback to something I owned in the 1990s, and I technically still have a SNES upstairs. I can go out and I can find these games. I can find them used, but it's going to cost me a lot more than $80 to get the list of games that's there.
A lot more.
Yeah. A lot more. And I'm not going to get Star Fox 2, which has never been released before. So there is a value for collectors and for game enthusiasts and for Nintendo fans to pick this up. But the whole way it was handled, for as far as pre-orders, just has me just so upset because it feels so mismanaged and feels like such a boondoggle that I don't know how Nintendo finds a way to kind of save face here, because I think they're at fault, and I think definitely a lot of these retailers are at fault. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. I mean, I know a lot of people are taking to social media right now talking about this, and they're angry and they're upset. I mean, having it removed from your cart right when you're going to check out and you're waiting for that page to refresh to say like, hey, we've accepted your credit card payment. And then it cancels like, oh, sorry, something happened. It's now gone. That's frustrating.
And this is also on the heels of Walmart, whatever it was, a month or so ago when they, supposedly accidentally had the pre-orders that they had to cancel every last one. So yeah, that's definitely not a good look there. But one of the things that I'm thinking about for myself is I kind of feel a little bit like a hypocrite, because I'm upset. But, you always hear people say, let your voice be heard with your wallet when it comes to, consumerism and, whatever you're going to buy, right?
True. Sure.
So I'm upset, but I'm also saying that with a background with a Mario pillow behind me, with a super,
right.
with a super
behind the Shania Twain poster, yes,
with a Super Mario coaster. And I definitely want one. I'm not upset to the point where I'm saying, forget you, Nintendo. I'm not gonna go and get one. I'm actually, when I heard that Toys R Us wasn't going to do pre-orders, I was like, well, maybe I take a half day for work on the Friday that it comes out, and maybe I go get in line at 3 a.m.
I'm with you, Josh. Let's do it.
So as hypocritical as that sounds to be, like, I am frustrated, but yet it's that Nintendo magic. So it's such an interesting thing, because they're one of the very few companies that can get away with this. And I think they know they can get away with this. And, maybe we're the problem because, as mad as we get, we're still giving them a lot of buzz, and then we're still willing to go out and buy their product. Now, I know there are some people that are saying, forget this. I'm not going to buy it. And maybe they won't, but, I think for the most part, you're still going to have people flocking to stores. But once again, they're only hurting themselves because they're leaving money on the table. Right. There's people that want these systems and can't get them.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. They're only hurting themselves. And as a capitalist, I look at it and say, why? Why leave money on the table? People are trying to hand you money. You money, and you won't take it?
It's interesting, too, because with the Wii U, Nintendo definitely had as much as I like the Wii U, it definitely was a misstep. It didn't work out well for them. But yet the Switch has garnered them so much buzz, and things are going really well with it. It's selling out, but then they get more in stock and those sell out. People are really happy with the Switch. There's a lot of good things coming down the pipe for it. So it's almost like you're starting to think, hey, maybe Nintendo's finally got it. Maybe they're getting back on track. Maybe they're going to become, maybe they're going to gain some of their glory back from the olden days. And then they just kind of do this and remind you, yeah, we're still Nintendo. We're still going to kind of do we're still going to do these weird things that just make you shake your head.
Right. So, something I saw some people talk about today too. They're like, well, don't get all upset because in just a little while, they're going to probably put all these games on the virtual console for the Switch, and you'll be able to play all these games on your Switch. Now, that sounds exciting, and I hope that does happen, but still, like, the person inside of me is like, I still want this. Just because I can get it elsewhere doesn't mean I don't want this.
And there's nothing wrong with putting it on the Switch. And, I've heard on other podcasts in the past, the Nintendo dads have talked about this quite a bit about, why don't they just release all the games, on one disc after the fact.
Right.
And I think that's a great idea. Whether they'd ever do that or not, I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe all these games will be on the Virtual Console. But there is something to be said about holding an actual Super Nintendo controller in your hand and playing the game that way. One of the things with this Raising a Gamer YouTube channel that I'm doing with my son is we've gone back and I've been buying a whole lot of old games, and there's just, at least for me, there's something special about playing it the way that it was intended. I actually went on classified ads and bought I got it for free. I got a CRT TV, which is down in my basement, which my wife hates. She thinks it's this, hideous thing that just sticks out in the side of the basement. But you plug in the games on that old TV, and where they were designed to be on that curved screen and where you're holding the actual controller, it definitely brings back that nostalgia and those great feelings. So yeah, I think there's something special to be said about playing the games on the carts, on the original controllers.
Yeah. So here's something I've committed to today. When all this was going on, all this craziness, and we're trying to find these pre-orders and whatnot, and things are being canceled right and left, and we're not getting them. I was talking with Delvin Cox from the Delvin Cox Experience, and he said he got a pre-order at Target, and then he also said he went down and walked down to his local GameStop and got a pre-order there. And so he messaged me, he says, "Hey, I know you didn't get one. Do you want my Target pre-order?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, that'd be great." And then of course he's like, "Yeah, you can have it when we'll figure it out whenever it gets here. I'll shoot it your way and whatnot." And then of course, an hour or two later, he shows me a picture on his phone, says Target canceled his pre-order. And so he's like, "Yeah, sorry about that." I'm like, "Hey, no problem." But this is something I'm committed to now. I'm going to make sure that I'm there on the 29th. I'm going to try to get one. But I think I'm going to try to get, depending on how much Nintendo floods the market, I'm going to try to get more than one. Because I know that I've got lots of friends and people in the community and super friends that listen to this show that are going to want one, and they're not going to be able to get it, or it's going to sell out. And so I'm committing that if I can get anything extra other than the one I buy for myself, if I get any extras, I'm just going to, at the normal cost, I'm going to sell it to someone in the community that wants it. No markup, no scalpers, nothing. Because I think this is something that I know I want, and I know a lot of other people want. It's a big nostalgia item. And so that's my commitment to my friends, my super friends, and people in the community. If I can, I'm going to, and I want to help people out.
If you can't get your hands on a Super Nintendo Classic, there definitely are other options out there. You could actually go back and buy a Super Nintendo. There's the emulation route, where I know a lot of people are saying, to heck with this, I'm just going to go, get an emulator and download all these games for free. There's the legality.
Yeah, there's some legal issues there.
But, for myself, I have a Super Nintendo. I have a console called the Retron 5, which it plays a whole bunch of old school console or video games. So I have ways to play these Super Nintendo games, but I don't want to buy all these 16 games individually, because like you're saying, Spence, this is going to be really expensive. Some of these games cost a pretty penny, because retro games are kind of the hot thing right now. And you can definitely sink a lot of money into these older games.
So I want to ask you guys this big snafu, this big debacle, if we were running these companies, or if we were in charge,
if we ran Nintendo,
if we ran Nintendo,
I think there's already a podcast called that.
But if you were looking ahead, how do you think are some ways like this could have been avoided or things that can be fixed? Because I have some ideas, and I'm curious to see what you guys think. The first thing I think is more communication. Like, I think all these companies, all these retailers should have been way up front by like, we're opening up our pre-orders on this date at this time, and given everyone a clear idea. Because I think like you said, Josh, under the cover of darkness, Amazon and Best Buy release their pre-orders. I think that's just wrong. I mean, it's just wrong.
I think one of the problems is that Nintendo, there's too many divisions. Is you have, Nintendo of America, you have, I don't know if there's
Nintendo of Japan.
Nintendo of Japan. I think it's just, I don't know if, do they call it Nintendo of Japan or just Nintendo? But
I think it's Nintendo of Nippon.
Oh, but you have these different divisions. And, one of the things I've learned from just interacting with people on Twitter is like in the UK, they've had pre-orders up for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the issues is more, I don't know if it's more regionally based with the Nintendo of America, and if there's some communication issues there on, or maybe differences in approaches from the different parts of Nintendo. I don't know, but I think there's definitely a breakdown when it comes to the different divisions.
Yeah. The whole thing about retailers canceling items that are already in your cart. Big problem. That's a huge hassle. It's very upsetting, right? When you're going like click the take my money button, and then they won't take your money. Why can't they do what like the movie, like if you ever go into Fandango and you get movie tickets, it's like you choose which seats you're going to reserve, or like Ticketmaster will do this too.
And it says like,
yeah, we're going to hold this for like 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. And if you don't complete your purchase in that time, then we release these tickets back into the wild and anyone can pick them up and you lose out on that option. Why can't retailers institute that for something like this?
Right. And how do these bots, a lot of times when you buy something online, they have to click that little button that says I'm not a robot, and then it'll bring up like a picture and it says like, click all the tiles that have cars in it, or, are they not doing any sort of protection like that? Is it just...
I think I read the article that said like this company or these manufacturers that made this scripting bot said that if they instituted a CAPTCHA like that, it's called CAPTCHA, that prove you're not a robot, that would actually be like very detrimental to their scripting until they figure out a way to write it so that they can get around that. And then of course, then they'd be able to charge even more money for their script because they could apply it to a lot of other websites that has, this protection to make sure you're not a robot. But I think a big step for the retailers would be definitely the more communication, and then making it so you can't have your inventory once it's in your cart taken out of your cart. Like you have like a time limit. I think that would help. I think not Amazon. I think GameStop needs to stop this crap with like, hey, we're going to bundle a whole bunch of extra junk you don't want and charge you a premium, and that's the only way you can get it. That's ridiculous. If I wanted a Tetris lamp, I'd buy a Tetris lamp by itself. I don't. So I'm never going to buy one of these $250 packages to get an $80 product. What do you guys think? So here's my thing, like scalpers, right? That's a big problem. People buying a whole bunch and then, trying to flood eBay. I mean, I saw people like, $450 for a confirmed guaranteed pre-order. Here's my thing. Nintendo has the ability to defeat all of that if they flood the market. If on September 29th, when all those pre-orders become real, right, and they get shipped, if Nintendo's like, yeah, we're flooding the market with 500 million of these things, which may be a little high, but yeah, just a tad. But if you know what I'm saying, like if they flood the market and there's so many of them, and like you can walk into any store in America or the UK or Germany or wherever, and you can find them in any electronics store, any, EB Games, any GameStop, any Walmart or Target, or any place, of that nature. If they're that readily available, who is going to go to eBay at that point and spend $300 or $400 on it? Because they can get it for $80. Right. No one. And of course, then then the people that are trying to scalp and trying to kind of play on the speculation that it's going to, be a short-lived product, they don't make their money on it. Now they're going to have to start dumping them for normal prices or just above normal prices, because now they're going to lose money on the deal and they're not going to be able to move that merchandise.
Yeah, it's interesting because, it's such a simple solution, but there's got to be some reason why Nintendo just refuses to do this. And I think that's what has everyone scratching their heads is they could change this, but they just don't.
Right. Is there anything else you guys can think of to try to combat this so that the next time Nintendo rolls out the Nintendo 64 Classic, they don't have these same type of problems? Is there anything you think that they could do differently, Nintendo or the retailers?
And one of the things Nintendo could do too, going back to the whole bundles, is they could have, they could have it in their contract where you are not allowed to bundle it at all. But basically it just all comes down to, does Nintendo care enough? As consumers, this is, a big deal to us, but it's apparently not a big deal to them. Maybe they like the fact that everyone rants and raves and talks about it on podcasts and YouTube and tweets and all this type of stuff. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why they'd leave the money on the table, but if I were them, here's what I would do. I'd make those contracts where you can't. Definitely try and ramp up the production. Instead of instead of selling them for 4 months, sell them for a year. And then on top of that, release their plans about the virtual console. And then also if there is any plan on releasing these games as a disc, let that news, leak out, even if it's intentional. These companies do that all the time to let people know, hey, if you can't get, one now, you can at least have the option to get it, as a cart on your Switch. Or maybe the same time that the Super Nintendo Classic comes out, release the NES Classic on a cart.
Yeah.
If they did that, then people would say, okay, if they're going to do this, and if we don't get it 1 year later, then we'll just go out and we'll buy the cart.
Yeah.
Why they could easily do that. Sell the cart for $40,
$60.
Well, sell it for $40 because you don't even have the
hardware.
The hardware.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely a thing. I don't know about you guys. Talking about this, it hasn't made me any more or less upset at how this all went down today. But I'm going to hold out hope that on the 29th of September, I can be there in the wee hours of the morning with my brother, and we can find some. And if I tell you what, if we go to Toys R Us or we go to Target or wherever, and we can buy extras or more than one, if they have a limited 2, I'm buying 2, and I'm going to find someone in the community that missed out on one, and I'm going to make sure they can get it for a regular retail price. So that's my pledge to my super friends. Because I hate the whole scalper thing, selling for $400. It's just crazy. So anyway, thank you for letting me rant and talk about this. It was one of those things where I was I've got pent up aggression. I got to get this out, and we got to talk about this. And so let's ask this question, I think, for our question of the week. I don't want to ask people if they got a pre-order or not, because I'm going to guess that most people didn't. But I think the question should be this, how much would you be willing to spend on one of these things? Are you willing to go the scalper route, or are you going to stand out in the cold or the sleet or the rain or the hail and make sure you get one of these? What's your level of dedication in acquiring one? And do you have a price point that you won't go above? Are you willing to buy a bundled package, or are you going to just try to get it for the normal price? And so that's kind of what I want to hear. I want to hear how other people are feeling and what they're going to do, where their threshold is, how far is too far for them to go in order to get one of these things. You can always reach us and answer the question on Twitter @FordofNerd, Facebook, which is facebook.com/FordofNerd, or email, which is fordofnerd@gmail.com. And Josh, once more, let all of our super friends know how they can find you on Twitter and how they can follow Raising a Gamer on YouTube.
Well, just like you said, the YouTube is Raising a Gamer, so come watch the videos, leave us some comments. I know Cool Knight always appreciates comments. He gets a shy look on his face, and
really? Now that I know, I'm going to leave
totally
comments.
But then on Twitter, I'm at cred_81.
Okay, thanks, Josh. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks
and
for having me.
And thanks for coming back and being willing to join us once again here.
It's always fun in the Fortress of Nerditude.
May the Force be with you, always.